module really interests me. It looks at how your brain functions during an argument. And I know from personal experiences, I find I can get to a point in an argument and it feels like it's going round and round in circles and we're not actually making any logical sense. And I have a lot of trouble trying to pull out and articulating what I'm really feeling. And I might end up being actually quite embarrassed about how I acted. So this module will delve into how our brain has evolved over time, which will help us understand our brain function during an argument.
To understand what's going on in our brain, it's helpful to understand how it evolved. The brain evolved in three main stages. The reptilian instinct brain is responsible for survival and evolved around 250 million years ago. This part of the brain is responsible for everything that would continue if you were in a coma: breathing, heart rate, sweating, and digestion. It's called the instinct brain because it's responsible for reacting without thinking, which was integral to the individual's survival. When the amygdala senses danger, our body enters survival mode quicker than the rational part of our brain can react. When the fight, flight, freeze response is triggered, a series of physiological processes are instigated, instantly preparing the body to fight, flight, or freeze. We call this the body's survival response. We start to breathe shorter and faster. Our mouth goes dry. Our heart starts beating faster. Blood flows away from our digestive system, causing the bladder to relax, which can lead to feeling like you need to go to the toilet. Nausea can occur, or the butterflies feeling in your stomach. Tension starts building in big muscle groups like the thighs, neck, and shoulders. Blood starts to rush from our extremities, leaving us with cold hands, but our palms start to sweat in preparation for overheating if we start to fight or to run. Our legs and hands can start to tremble, and we can start to feel weak. These are the physiological signs and symptoms in our body that our brain has activated our survival response. The next main stage of evolution was the limbic brain, responsible for emotions and fear. This part of the brain is about 150 million years old. This part of the brain is also responsible for empathy and social connection, and is the reason communities survived, because they had bonded with each other. At the centre of this part of the brain is a small almond-shaped section called the amygdala, the fear centre of the brain. It's always looking out for danger. The newest part of the brain is the neocortex, the thinking brain. It is responsible for logic, rationality, problem solving, and consequential thinking. It's approximately 2 to 3 million years old, and it is the reason communities not only survived, they thrived. During our caveman days, the role of the amygdala was paramount to our survival. For that reason, it was hypervigilant, working all day, every day, to scan the environment for danger. Although our caveman days are far behind us, the amygdala is such an old and embedded part of the brain, it is still searching and can be quite trigger happy. We can feel when it has been activated by the physiological processes in our body. Our palms sweating before a job interview, needing to use the bathroom before speaking in front of a large crowd, the knot in our stomach sitting an exam, and our heart racing and muscles tensing during an argument. So although in most cases there is no real danger, our trigger-happy amygdala has activated our fight, flight, freeze response. In our hand model of the brain, the fingers represent the neocortex, the thinking part of the brain. This part of the brain is responsible for thinking, for logic, problem solving, and connecting with empathy with other people as well. Underneath, the palm, but also the thumb, represents the emotional center of the brain. Specifically, the thumb is the amygdala, and this is the fear center of the brain. Its job is to scan the environment and alert your brain that there's danger. Remember, this is a very old part of the brain that was responsible for our survival and key to our survival. At the base of the palm and also the wrist is our instinct part of the brain, the lizard brain. This is responsible for your body's functioning. We're talking about breathing, heart rate, pupils dilating, everything that would still function even if you were in a coma, digestion, things like that. In our brain, in the emotional center of the brain, the amygdala scans the environment for when it thinks that we're in trouble, when there's danger, and it sends out danger signals. What happens when this is alerted is the thinking brain goes offline. Because think about survival back in our caveman days. We didn't need to appraise the situation. We didn't need to think about what's going on, what can I do here, how can I deal with this situation? We needed to act. So your thinking brain goes offline and your instinct brain kicks into gear. So this is heart pumping, you're breathing heavier, your pupils dilate, you're ready to fight, to flight, to run, or to freeze. Now this is also what can happen when we're in an argument. What we don't realize, because our amygdala is trigger happy, our thinking brain goes offline. So remember, this is the logic, the problem solving, the empathy. It's gone offline. And all that's happening is those physiological processes, the heart rate, the breathing, the pupils, the muscles tightening. Our job when we're having a conversation that's escalating into an argument is to recognize if our thinking brain is about to go offline, or trying to identify when it has. And we'll look at the next clip to see how we can do that and how we can bring this thinking brain back online so we can turn the argument away from an unconstructive conversation into a constructive conversation. To start working with keeping your thinking brain engaged and online, first get to know what your triggers are. Get curious about what subjects are likely to trigger you and your partner. This way you know to tread lightly, or that you may be going into a conversation that is likely to send your thinking brain offline. Recognize when you're going into survival mode. Look for physiological sensations, so physical things that are happening in your body, like your heart rate rising, heavy breathing, and your muscles tightening. To do this, you'll have to check in with your body regularly, especially around those subjects that are likely to trigger you or your partner. Call for a timeout. If you are escalating or have escalated, call for a timeout. Take at least 20 minutes. Try something calming or something that involves the thinking brain. Think of words, logic, even a Sudoku puzzle would help. Thoughts. Thoughts that fixate on the argument will perpetuate the disengagement of the thinking brain. So make a conscious effort to think about something else. Deliberately think of things that are calming to you and do this for at least 20 minutes. Then, when you're back online, when you're both back re-engaged, try again. When you're both calm and your thinking brains are back online, try to address the issue in a different way. Focus on what you need, not on what the other person is doing wrong. Approach the issue as a team that the team has to solve. Brainstorm ways to problem solve. So now that we understand that the brain can go offline and how to bring it back online again, go through the solo mission and the team challenge to try and start to recognize what it looks like for you when you go offline or when you're starting to, or what that looks like in your partner. And also develop some strategies of how to bring yourself back online again, or how your partner can support you to do that. This way, you'll have some really good ideas to draw on next time you're coming into a heated conversation, and hopefully, arguments can transition into more of constructive conversations than these arguments that go round and round and round.